Most people believe that the only way to grow a clothing store without a ton of money is with dropshipping, but that's not true. In fact, it's a lie. Dropshippers' fail rate is one of the highest of any online business out there because it's built on the lie that is, it's less work. Clothing stores can generate revenue like this and this without dropshipping. But how? That's exactly what I'm going to be teaching you in this video, and I'll show you the real-life examples of stores who are following these steps. So number 4, focus on content creation first. You must build an audience before you generate revenue. Just a really quick background story. I'm going to show a picture of this hoodie that I bought. This is a hoodie from Michael Jordan's trainer, which means absolutely nothing to most people. However, he created a hoodie in a micro niche of him and Jordan working out from a long time ago. They have very few pictures of it. But he created a book called Relentless, and then another book to follow out from that. And then he went on to train people in quiet. He trained Kobe, he trained Dwayne Wade. What does that matter? Well, in doing so with creating those books and creating that notoriety, he built an audience. I was one of those people for the audience. He dropped a hoodie that was a limited edition. It was not going to be a ton of products in place. There was just a limited run of them. They were charging a premium price. I think it was like $120+ for it. And I didn't think twice about that hoodie at all because I had already read the books. I've already was infatuated with a bunch of the stuff that he's been putting out content wise, and I was part of his audience. So when he released a product, I didn't even look at the product page, didn't even look at the price until afterwards, and I was like, oh dang, I just paid that much. But I saw it was limited run. I tried, and I had to go to like 3 different sites to find it. Went to the site, found it, purchased it, and seriously one of my most favorite hoodies because of the story behind the hoodie. So what I'm saying there is that you have to create an audience or build an audience first, and then all of the other things that I'm getting ready to talk to you don't matter as much. Your website, the product descriptions, your product photos. I didn't look at any of those things. I literally just went to go buy the hoodie because of who actually said that they were selling a hoodie. These hoodies were made after I ordered them. So they didn't have to make them and put money up ahead of time. I literally waited weeks to get these hoodies. These were pre-ordered. So you can do the exact same thing. All right, so number 3 is the micro niche. So I talked about this a little bit previously with the hoodie story, but if you can get into that micro niche of people who are aspiring to be something else, then you can actually take off. So a really good example of this is the Lululemon story. So they chose a micro niche, right, in a category that dominated and continues to sell, but they actually created a space that did not exist. The more you can speak to your audience, the better it will actually generate more results. So picking a random shirt design off the internet that has a lot of interest, but you know nothing about, won't last for a very long time. What I mean by that is that if you don't know that industry, if you don't know that micro niche, it's going to be hard to talk to that person, right? And so going back to that Lululemon story, we have a video on that actually. I would go and check it out of how their whole business model works. You can check it out right here, so we'll link to that. Outside of their story, right, what they did was they said, hey, we're going to create a category of our own. And now you see it in Nike and Adidas and basically every other line. Everybody's trying to create their own athleisure type of line, and Lululemon did it first. They created it, and they've just narrowed down into a very specific market and can charge a premium price. Other people charge less, but because they were able to create that category and they have an authority, everybody perceives Lululemon to have a better quality product. So that micro niche of people who they're focusing on, they can charge a premium because they are the best in a specific category. So how can you create a micro niche in a category, right? Are you the best NASCAR, non-gaudy like designs on your t-shirt, or are you a Texas Christian children's clothing brand and you can talk to those people, right? Who is it that you're talking to, and go deeper and go more narrow on that? Because if you can do that, you're going to stand out from everybody else who said, everybody loves pets, so I'm going to create a pet design shirt. Well, that does no good when everybody else is competing for that same area too, and you know nothing about that area, right? You like dogs. You liking dogs has nothing to do with the fact that those shirts are not going to sell. I see a lot of people, and this is kind of a sidebar here, I see a lot of people go and try to look at the most popular products on the internet and then try to sell those products because they think they're going to get rich quick. That is not going to be the case, and it maybe was the case in 2017, even up to 2020, but is no longer the case now. So it's much better for you to build an actual brand in a business than it is to try to go and chase the hottest item out there. All right, so number 2 is knowledge of the product. How many times have you been in a conversation where you can easily tell that somebody has no clue about what they're talking about. You show up to a sporting event, you guys are talking about basketball, and they have no clue what a foul is, or if it's college basketball and they have first halves and second halves, or if you're talking about a play and they have no clue what Shakespeare is and they try to talk about a movie. Like, it's just awkward for everybody when they don't know about an actual topic. So if you don't know about the topic of designs that you're selling for your clothing store or for your boutique or anything like that, if you don't know about the product, people will know. They'll know in your content creation, they'll know in your copy, they'll know in the way that you're portraying yourself. And guess what? The real people who understand the brand will be repelled. They will actually step away. So create a brand that you have knowledge on, or gain the knowledge very quickly. Like I said, it does not matter what area you go into, because if you choose a micro niche, there is going to be an audience there. We're not trying to take over the world with $100 million brand. Maybe you are, but if you wanted to get to high 6 figures, 7 figures, right? It's about that micro niche, but it's a knowledge of it, because you don't know what problems that people are getting ready to have. You don't know what issues that somebody has with that as well. Like, for example, if you do nothing about basketball, right, it would not be great for you to create designs about Michael Jordan, because you're probably going to miss a lot of the details. Maybe you didn't pick one of his most famous shots. Maybe you thought he had 5 NBA championships when he really had 6, right? And so you create a design, you didn't do any research, you don't know anything about the product, and then you put 5 on there, and then instantly people are going to call you out. It is not about the sales as much as it is about making sure to hit the right audience in a micro niche and the knowledge about that product. Because if you can do that, then the easy part is creating a design that people will actually want. But that design only has to be above average if you get every other piece correct. So don't go out there and try to find something that you're not interested in. Create a product and start focusing on an area that you actually know about versus trying to do everything else. So that's the same thing for clothing. If you pick a shirt design boutique, start, etc., but you can't talk the talk, it will be very difficult to make this work. All right, so number 1 is a successful business model. Dropshipping manufacturer rates are crazy high. If you charge, for example, $30 for a shirt and the manufacturer takes 30%, you have $21 to play with. Then you have to pay taxes, potentially shipping, and then any type of merchant fees, and then a discount or offer to get somebody to come back. Let's say you do it all organically without paid traffic. You'll walk away with, on average, maybe 10 to 15 bucks, which means it is now a volume game, but not a volume game with just new customers, but existing. See, the problem with dropshipping is that you have no control over the quality of the product, the customer experience, shipping, etc. And some of you guys will say, well, no, I have a really good relationship with my dropshipper, with the person I'm working for manufacturer. Well, you do, right? But they also have a lot of other customers. And if your customer has a bad experience, right, then they may not say something. Most people who have a bad experience won't tell you, but will tell their friends, and they will do it in quiet. Now you just lost out on a repeat customer and all the people they just told that had a bad experience. So you'll try to run ads to find new customers at a loss and eventually run out of money, because if you can't get the organic people to buy again and tell their friends, then you have to now spend money, which is not profitable, because it's very difficult for you to try to acquire a customer for $5 to $8 on Facebook anymore. This is not 2013. So then eventually you don't have repeat customers and you'll eventually run out of money. It happens all the time. So, okay, let's talk about solutions here. There are 5 keys to growing your clothing store, and we created a free training on them that you can check out in the link in the description. But first, let me show you some real results and touch on these 5 areas to help you grow. Okay, so store number 1 right here is a store that literally started at 0. We started working with them about 9 months ago. Average sales per month is about 45,000. Our goal is to get to 60. And this is one of the biggest areas that we're trying to focus on, is how do we get the returning customer rate up? But what we've done is we created really good content and we've increased the conversion rate. So right here it says it's down 7%. It's actually up overall. So we looked at this, let's just say previous year. All right, so they were at a 0.83, and then I believe even then, let's just look back at September, they're at 0.28. So the store as a whole right here was 0.28, had 11% returning customer rate, which was actually up at this time. Traffic obviously was just bonkers. It gets a lot of traffic from the ads and stuff that we run. But total sales down. So what did we do? We focused on the conversion rate, focused on the average order value now, and we have this at, what is this, February of 2023. We're into March now, but just give you an example. Conversion rate's almost at 1%, still low from where we want it to be. Customer returning rate still low, but it's not 10%, 9% where it was before. So we're focusing on areas of the business to move the needle. Now, the ads do play a factor in here, and overall the store has grown significantly because it had, like I said, basically zero sales. We're averaging $30,000, $40,000 a month now. Our goal is to get to 60 by the end of April. So average order value is up, conversion rate is up, return customer rate is up. I think online store is actually up. We did some stuff on Facebook and Instagram, was kind of down. So overall, growth in the right area. Now, this is one example of a store that literally started at zero, trying to scale up, and let me show you store number 2. Okay, so this store up quite significantly. This is just last month, so February 2023, conversion rate is up. Average return customer rate is actually a little bit higher than we really want it to be. This customer doesn't want to spend as much money on the ads, but we're still at a 7-figure plus run rate. I think we did 1.5 last year. This year, goal is 2.5. They could easily do that if they spend a little bit more money on acquiring new customers. But what they did was they built a brand. Same like both of these people. They've built a brand. They focus on a small micro niche. That first example here that I'm going back to is a small micro niche of basically, I would say, nerdy people on the internet for t-shirts. And if you like anything like Marvel or anime or anything like that, it's a great brand for it. The other example here is a boutique, and she has focused on finding middle-aged women who are Christians, who are also kind of from those small towns. And so she's created like a micro niche here, and people who absolutely love her, which is why that returning customer rate is much higher than we actually want it to be. But to give you context for both of these stores, they both focused on a couple of the things we mentioned earlier, right? So micro niches, they also focused on making sure they had knowledge of the products. And what I do like is both of them have a successful business model. Most of them can get email and SMS, and they actually build a database and can market back to those people. Both of them have opposite problems, but they're moving in the right direction. They're both sustainable. They've both been around for a long time. One has been around for years. Another one has been around for a year plus. Before working with us anyway. And so they have a successful business model. The rule of businesses should just stay in business instead of go out of business. If you can stay in the game long enough, you will find success. So 5 areas to any clothing store growth, right? These are the areas of importance. Number 1, website. Number 2, traffic. How do you get traffic to that site? Usually through paid ads. The third thing is profit, those email and SMS. Number 4 is that customer experience. And with that customer experience, that's why I really think that dropshipping is not going to work, is because you can't write that handwritten note. Even if you say your dropshippers does it, doesn't matter. Susie gets that letter, it's not going to be the same thing. You can also look at the shipping, the packaging, everything that goes on. It cannot be fulfilled in the exact same way that it can coming out of your own warehouse. It could be your postcards. Like I said, all of those customer experience things cannot be handled. Your customer service cannot be handled by you. You don't have a pulse on the business. And I promise you, it is more work right now, but it will allow you to build a solid foundation for the future. And the last piece is organic marketing. It is one of those things where if you use them to your advantage, you will be able to reach more people, and it does not matter if you necessarily run ads as much, because if you have good organic marketing, it will reach more people and it can actually grow your business. It is a little bit slower over time, but again, it's that solid foundation to grow your business. This is what we're talking about here, a sustainable business model. If you're looking for the next video to grow your clothing store, make sure that you watch this video next. All right, y'all, that is it for this video. Have a great day, and P.S. subscribe.